Okay, we're ready.
Okay,
We're
looks
live.
like we're live. All right. Welcome everyone to She Crypto, where we highlight women shaping the future of Web3, crypto, and emerging technologies. Today, we're talking about something every Web3 company needs, but doesn't always get right. So that's people. How do you find great talent in Web3 and crypto? What do teams look for today? And how can more women build meaningful careers in this space? Obviously, ravishing topic that applies to so many things, to everyone. We're joined today by Kseniya Parfenyuk. She is talent acquisition partner at Ton Foundation and a global IT recruiter. And she has over 8 years of experience specializing in Web3 and blockchain talent since 2021. So she has worked with companies like P2P.org, One Inch Network, and Ton Foundation. And she brings deep expertise, across recruitment agencies, across outsourcing, and also Web3 product companies. So, very exciting guest we have today, which I'm sure we'll learn so much from. My name is Laura. I'm co host of She Crypto, and I'm really excited for this conversation because hiring is often overlooked, yet it's one of the biggest success factors in Web3.
Yeah,
Thank you
hi
so much.
everyone. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Sorry, I was just gonna say hi, I'm Kellyanne, founder of Women in Blockchain, She Crypto, and Unstoppable Future. As someone deeply invested in women empowerment, inclusion, and building strong Web3 communities, I'm very excited to speak with you today and learn from you and find out, what it really takes to break into the industry. So welcome to She Crypto. We're so happy. We're so happy to have you here.
Likewise, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I'm super excited to be here. She Group does amazing things.
You. Yeah. And before we jump in, I wanted to see if we could get to know you a little bit, like personally outside of work. And, so just a couple of questions like, so where are you from and, where did you grow up?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I'm a Belarusian girl currently living in Spain. I believe this kind of Eastern European approach to work-life balance, often non-existent, has helped me a lot. The stamina, the determination needed to succeed in the industry. I grew up in a family of a music teacher and a literature worker. I excelled at school and university. I started working at 18 and I was doing it in parallel with my kind of full-time studies. So yeah, it's been a long journey, but I'm great at talent acquisition and IT recruitment currently. I'm excited to grow further and currently exploring the Web3 and blockchain.
Okay. So you started in the music world and
Not
into
really.
music
So
and
my mom is a
And
music teacher,
education. Okay,
and
okay. All right. But so you were surrounded by a lot of
yes,
music and art when you were growing up. I see the art
literature and
behind you
music.
too.
Very far away from tech, I would say, but still, this didn't impede my journey. In I
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Thank you for sharing. I always like to know like where people, grew up and what life was like. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So what were you drawn? How was it that you came to Web3 and what was the attractiveness of the industry for you?
So actually, I would like to start speaking about my HR career because that's how I started in Web3 as well. So first, I was in my second year of business English studies, and I saw this topic of HR. I was reading through the requirements and the qualifications needed, and I was thinking, wow, I kind of have all the vital capabilities. So I wanted to explore this, and I started looking for some internships in this industry. And my first ever interview was successful. So I got the job as kind of an intern or junior recruiter in an agency based in Chicago, but founded by a Ukrainian woman. So she kind of hired me for the attitude, not the skills back then. And I still remember this, how important it is sometimes to value the attitude over the skills. And since then, I've been in IT, but my Web3 journey started quite later.
You're muted, Kelly. I see you speaking there.
I just keep messing up today. I keep messing. No, I'm wondering what were some of the key moments or decisions you made that eventually led you into blockchain and Web3?
Well, I must say political factors were in place. I was just a bit confused by this increase in centralization, some maybe unjust policies towards certain nations, some political madness happening in the world. And I was young and rebellious. I just wanted to see what's out there. Is there any other way we can build things in a more decentralized manner, where people can have more access to just transparency? And that's when I discovered the blockchain, the immutability of the blockchain, the potential it has to create a more transparent and just equal kind of environment. That's my personal curiosity that brought me to this world.
Okay, so it was kind of like the whole ethos, right, of what it means, what blockchain means. Was there a specific moment though, or like an aha moment that made you realize that you wanted to stick around and kind of build your career here?
Sure. I was working in a very corporate environment at EPAM Systems. This was like 60K employees, slow processes, lots of bureaucracy, lots of learning opportunities as well. But still, I was thinking that I might be interested in something more dynamic. And that's when I got approached by managed network recruiters. And that was the moment that became like a trampoline for me. So I started collaborating with real Web3 talent, with real talented contributors, with technical people who were building the blockchain, writing smart contracts. And that's when I started putting ideas into practice. So actually, that was the moment that, on contrast of this corporate environment versus a very dynamic environment of manage as a Web3 startup, realized I wanted to immerse myself much more in this startup, product-oriented, dynamic world.
So you've worked across recruitment agencies, outsourcing environments, and now Web3 product companies. So from your perspective, what makes hiring in Web3 different from hiring in traditional tech?
Okay, so I think I can bring up three things actually. So first would be the pace, what I've already mentioned, then the skills, and last but not least is just the approach towards seniority. So let me explain. So first, the pace, of course, it's crazy. Of course, sometimes the Web3 world is crazy, very fast paced and really dynamic as compared to some tech companies. And of course, volume recruitment is not uncommon in Web2 as well, but you do not have to adjust the requirements and priorities quite so often as in Web3. Then this is also linked to skills, because skill sets change a lot. A lot of new things come out every day. There are lots of new programming languages, frameworks, SDKs that you need to be aware of, including the job descriptions and your interviews. And you just need to find the people with these new skill sets. And that's why you cannot have the same approach towards seniority as in Web2. Because when you're looking for a senior software engineer in Web2, you would expect them to have like at least 5 to 7 years of experience. But here, if we're speaking about some new programming language, for example, like Tact programming language, that did not even exist 5 to 7 years ago. So you need to be adjustable, like maybe flexible, adjust your requirements to this.
To me,
We wouldn't have, yeah.
no, I'm like
Yeah.
mind blown by that. Sorry, Kelly, what were you gonna
Yeah.
say?
I was just going to say 10 years ago, did we know we would be here?
No.
No, it would have been impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so crazy when I talk to my developer friends, and like talking to them some years back, I would tell them like last cycle 2021, like maybe you should think about like learning this blockchain thing. The seniority you need is like, so the barrier of entry is literally so low, and if you put your head down and you go at it and you're already a dev, like you're gonna be like very much in demand in the coming years. I have a friend or two that listened, but the others like, they were complacent where they were, which is fine. But like the level of years that seniority implies in blockchain is so mind-blowing to me, especially in the dev community. So, Senya, I have a question. So, when companies come to you looking for talent, what are the most in demand roles that you're seeing right now in this space in Web3?
Well, in my experience, engineers are always in demand, but not only like software engineers, but also systems engineers, analytics engineers, data engineers, and more recently, even automation or AI engineers. And on the business side of things, it's always like business development, a lot of marketing roles, and DevRel as the bridge between the tech and the business.
And then what types of skills and qualities are you looking for? Like what matters the most today? Is it deep crypto knowledge, adaptability, mindset, something else, or everything?
Oh, sometimes it can be everything, but I believe the attitude, still the attitude of someone is like most important thing because with the right attitude, you can bridge that gap in some knowledge, in some industry knowledge or deep crypto awareness. You can also adapt to different things, maybe just to the fast-paced environment, to the international remote setting, which we often have in Web3. And of course, it is tricky to show this attitude in interviews. So I think the most the trickiest thing that you can train is to show the attitude so that companies can notice you.
I love to hear that. I
Stand
love to
out.
hear that. Yeah, stand out, stand out. I was listening to a podcast earlier at the gym, and it was talking about angel investors and how they don't invest in companies, they invest in people, like literally, and that's what hiring is all about as well. And that resonates with me. So, Ksenia, I know that you're currently a talent acquisition partner at Ton Foundation. So, without sharing anything confidential, obviously, what's unique about building teams for an ecosystem like Ton?
Mm, these ecosystems are always a little tricky, so they still have some fast-paced and startup environment while also trying to build processes and things that are a little more corporate, which is a good thing. But let me bring up the analogy from physics because, like the second law of thermodynamics, in an isolated system, the entropy can only increase. So when you think about some ecosystem which is isolated, if they don't do partnerships, a lot of collaborations, they can become quite unsustainable. So a good thing about foundations is when they collaborate, when they create some joint projects, they experiment quite a bit, they create internal startups. And that's a great mix of some corporate stuff and some startup environment.
So compared to a startup or like a more traditional tech company, what does a great candidate look like for a Web3 foundation?
Someone who can stay open-minded while also being excited about structuring the chaos. So you need to be excited about building processes. That's not just the wild, startup stuff when you just have 5 people and you're building 18 hours per day. That's not the theme, but still, you need to be adaptable. You don't have to be afraid of the change while also trying to structure it a little bit.
Absolutely. I think that anyone with a startup mentality is a great asset, even if they're working for a huge company, because you know how in startups you need to wear
Yeah.
many hats, and you need to just go with the flow and be flexible. So I think that that's a great asset to have in a foundation or in a multinational, whatever. So, Senya, how do you assess culture fit and long-term potential in this industry that is so fast-paced and so global? How do you work around that?
So I try to assess people's motivations, their adaptability to remote settings and international teams. And this includes just being flexible about the time zones, as well as cultural awareness, like cross-cultural communication. And of course, the adaptability, flexibility, the attitude that I mentioned before. Also, it's our new reality that we need to be aware of the visas, some restrictions, some plans for relocation, because yeah, we're all like remote and international these days, and we just need to adapt and accommodate.
So what mistakes do some candidates make when they're applying for Web3 roles? What's one of the biggest mistakes that you've seen?
Well, that's a big topic, and the disclaimer, that's just my personal opinion based on reviewing thousands and thousands of applications. And I still do this manually. I still don't use any AI tools for this particular aspect of my work. So one thing that is my personal hell is too lengthy CVs that are not structured, like descriptions without bullet points, 8 pages in length. I cannot possibly read 8 pages of a CV if I have 80 other applications awaiting my review. So please keep it short and nice and structured. Then also, there are some excessively formal candidates when they write like, "Dear sir, madam, I would be humbled if you could possibly review my application," which is way too much. And then there are two informal candidates who do not even include in your CV, but just put their photos, some memes, some slang, and think that if it's Web3, that should work. Well, probably not, unless it's implied by the company culture somehow, maybe for some creative positions. But anyway, in general terms, that's not the best approach. And also, I would like just to give a piece of advice that usually it's still about the volume, because you cannot expect to apply for just 5 or 10 jobs and get the best offer of your life. Then possibly you need to reach some volume to bring about results.
That's so funny. So, Ksenia,
Memes.
yeah,
The
memes
memes.
and memes and also
Yeah.
like people who are too formal or people just that honestly, conciseness is an art that, and it's a skill that you practice and you need to like put hours into because my God, no one reads that much, especially if you're like an important company. You need to keep it short and you need to practice that. Kelly, were you gonna add something?
Well, I was just going to say, even though it's cool and new and fun and hot, yeah, it's not all memes. It's actually a real job. Like that's what I was going to
Exactly.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That made me laugh. Okay, so
Yeah.
so we know you're a strong advocate for flexibility, for inclusion, for women empowerment in tech. From what you've seen, Ksenia, where does Web3 still fall short when it comes to diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've had some corporate experience, and I can compare to this startup Web3 world. Here, not so many companies, not all companies are even addressing the discrimination. I mean, all types of discrimination like ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, even chronic conditions like health conditions, all these have to be addressed. But many companies think about it like, when we have time, we might, but this doesn't have to be the afterthought. It should be the priority, actually.
So, what advice would you have for women who want to transition into Web3, but they feel like they're intimidated, or maybe they're intimidated, or they feel like they're not qualified?
To never question their own worth and their own capabilities. I believe us women often tend to underestimate ourselves and our worth, but we can actually do everything. And another piece of advice is just support ourselves and each other more, because data is quite concerning. In just tech-heavy roles, female participation is way too low. This doesn't have to be like that. I believe that sometimes women just don't feel empowered to try.
Absolutely. Agreed, yeah. And, in your view, how can companies do a better job at actually creating, inclusive hiring processes and work environments for our founders listening?
Well, actually, they, like diversity, equity, and inclusion consultants, exist for a reason. I'm a recruiter, but I've done some training on that, and I believe like huge companies in Web2 do the right thing when they invest a lot in it. For example, like Netflix, it's also a fast-paced company, but still they do pay a lot of attention to this, and they invest in training of their employees, in putting into practice the best practices, the newest ideas in this regard. They try to overcome the challenges of these discrimination. They try to spotlight whenever there is any problem and try to solve this. Well, many of Web3 companies don't do this yet. They should implement this day consultant role in more and more teams. To be honest, I don't know any HR team personally where a Web3 company has this consultant on day, which I think is a huge gap.
Okay, so now we have sort of a fun, rapid fire, practical advice session planned. Yeah. We're just ask some quick questions. So, okay. So, what is one myth about getting a job in Web3 that you wish would disappear?
Web3
Yeah.
is not a gold mine. You wouldn't
Yeah.
receive $1 million offer right away. But this is not what we're all here for, I think.
Keywords right away. So you're gonna get it, just not just not right away.
Yes.
No, just kidding. Companies do have a lot of expenses. So what's one thing, Ksenia, candidates should always do before applying to a Web3 role?
actually check if that's not a scam, because there's a lot of scam out there. Just should check if that's a legit link. Maybe go to the company website, check their careers section, and if that's the official website and the vacancy is there, then probably that's the real vacancy. You should apply through that link. And if you feel in 2 months, you should also reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, for example, just to be on the safe side.
I bet you get a lot of mail, the in mail.
Yes, I do,
Yeah.
but I enjoy
Yeah.
this. I must
Yeah.
respond to them eventually.
Okay. So, what is one red flag that you notice in interviews? Like, what's one thing that is a big red flag?
Lately, it's been AI tools that just write the answers for you. An online tool where people are just reading from the screen. That's not always so obvious, but the answers are so conventional or so out of place. So it's human resources. It's about human interactions. I would love to know the person that I'm talking to, but not AI. I can talk to AI anytime. So maybe just not settle down for the conventional answers from AI.
So, people literally have AI up and you're asking questions in an interview and they're typing the question in, and you can tell they're getting an AI answer and reading it.
It's getting more and more advanced, so they don't have to type. It's actually just maybe transcribing my speech, and the answer is up there on their screen, I believe. But that's usually also this when people are like starting to speak about something irrelevant or something too vague. And well, actually, I still can tell if they're using AI or not.
Mm. I have been in some streams before where I was on panels and I noticed, like, on the video ones, people were typing and then looked like they were reading, and I wondered if that's what they were doing, but they must not know about this speech thing.
Yes.
Yeah, about the speech tool. That's interesting. Wow.
Wow. That's insane because it's all about getting to know the person, right? I mean,
Yeah.
wow, I cannot uh, wrap my head around that. But yeah, super red flag. I hadn't even thought about the immediate like output of the answers. I thought you were referring to at first like the messages that you get with like the long dash and the either this and then that and the typical, prompts that you get, but wow, that's another level right there. Okay, so on to the next question. So what's a tool or resource you recommend for anyone looking to build a Web3 career?
You'd be surprised, but this is still LinkedIn, I believe. Like, I have almost 24,000 connections on LinkedIn. I know what I'm talking about. This is still one of the most powerful tools you can use to build your career anywhere, but in Web3 as well. There are a lot of influencers on Web3 topics. There are a lot of groups and connections you can make there. So do invest some time into LinkedIn, because many Web3 talent doesn't have LinkedIn, but I think it's not so correct. So you still should have as many platforms as possible.
So what is the best advice, the best career advice that you've ever received?
Oh, actually, consider if you'd like to be doing the thing that you're about to do for years. I mean, when you're choosing the job, you should probably think about the perspective, about the long term. When I was in 2 months on choosing my first job, my grammar teacher at university asked me if I could picture myself doing the teaching stuff, because I was considering a vacancy of an English teacher for years, for long term, and I couldn't picture myself doing this. So do not give up on your long term vision and still think about what you'd love to be doing for long term.
I like that. I always like to think of, even now, even though I'm not at the beginning of my career or anything like that, I always think of like, what would I do if I was not gonna get paid? Like if I would never ever get paid or I didn't need to, make money or something like that, like what would I do, for fun? What kind of
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
job? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to ponder about the future. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Ksenia, this was so insightful. Thanks. I'd love to let our listeners know more about you. Like, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? How can they even learn about opportunities at Town Foundation?
So for the opportunities at TON, for the whole ecosystem, jobs.ton.org is the source of truth. So all vacancies are posted there. And for me personally, I would love to connect with anyone on LinkedIn or even on Telegram. I believe we can share this with our audience to this.
Perfect. Yes, we'll
Okay.
do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. It's interesting to learn all of these things, especially the AI.
Wow.
That's so
It's
interesting.
it's so interesting.
Yeah. 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 Thank
And
you.
you know what? That takes me back to like my point that I always make. Like, oh, to AI is gonna take over our jobs. Like,
Mm,
okay, yes, but no. And how relevant soft skills are, like
Definitely.
from now, because I mean, I think that we already have the earphones that like translate in real time, and it probably can like tell you stuff in real time as well so you can answer it. But until that is widespread or whatever, how are you gonna like defend yourself and do a good job at being in real life and meeting people and socializing and having people like you and having meaningful conversations? That's something that AI can't do so far.
I
Yeah.
couldn't agree
right.
more. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Not
thank
human.
you for inviting me. I've enjoyed every piece
Yes.
of it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And to everyone listening, don't forget to follow us and subscribe. She Crypto everywhere on all the channels. And, all of our future episodes will be announced on the socials and updates, replays, and then this interview if you want to watch it again, or if you tuned in the middle, since we're live streaming, you can go back and watch at shecrypto.org. And we're also launching an X Spaces series for live conversations with women across Web3 and crypto. So, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.